Welcome to Worlds Collide, a wrestling card podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans, featuring Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
This is like a stock market.
And Zhan Morning from Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just posing the question. Join them as they navigate the world of wrestling cards, helping you build a bigger and better collection and making some money along the way. What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to Worlds Collide. Zhan Morning here from Wrestling with Cards.
Tony Vella with WrestlingTradingCards.com.
I think we're like the only two wrestling card personalities on YouTube. You got Yeah, you got these jabronis over here in the sports card world wanting to dabble, but no, we're the hardcores.
Yeah, and been doing it for a long time.
Yep.
Long time, I feel.
So today, speaking of that, we're going to talk about wrestlers in non-wrestling card sets. And this
what do you mean by that?
That's a good question. We've started seeing a lot of these pop up recently on social media, people just digging deep, looking for that next big thing. And, you know, God forbid, we're going to start talking about these being wrestlers' rookie cards. I know we'll get into it.
I know. I've seen so many of your videos, and every time you mention rookie cards, that you just roll your eyes, go, whatever you want to call them, just buy them all.
Yeah, it's so cringy, but
it is.
This is a different kind of sect of those cards we're going to talk about today. So what exactly are they? They are wrestlers who had cards maybe in the past or still do in wrestling cards that are not actually, or in cards that are not actually wrestling cards. A little confusing.
So wrestlers that are featured in other things other than wrestling.
Correct. Like right off the bat, Dwayne Johnson, Tuna Fish Bumblebee card when he was with the Miami Hurricanes. Which,
I mean, you can go sports. There's a lot of guys in sports you want to talk about sports.
Right.
That
and then you can go
sports.
The other way with like Sasha Banks in the Mandalorian set from Topps.
Yep. I was going to mention that one as well too. There's a lot of great cards out there. The Rock gets a lot of looks these days, so for good reason.
So why do you think people want these cards? Like, why are they all of a sudden sought after? Because up until recently, I haven't seen a lot of people talking about them. I chatter here and there, but
yeah, I've been starting to see people talk about the Rock and Scorpion King, and trying to get that stuff and like looking for the promo cards. And there's a whole set devoted to that movie, right. And he's on most of those cards, in addition to the chase cards, and he sent an autograph card for that release too. And then you also have him, I think people forget he was also in Memory Returns.
Yep.
And he has an autograph card in that. As a matter of fact, that's an Inkworks product. And that 9-card puzzle piece that came from that set is called the Scorpion King. And it's all about him.
And I guess.
But I think they're looking for something that's maybe not because they're getting priced out, but all the nostalgia about The Rock is of his wrestling career. But now it's like, hey, I can still readily find these other Rock cards, not of his wrestling days, but of his movie career, because he's a huge icon.
And do you think these mainly are like, okay, so we'll just take The Rock. Do you think it's more people that are fans of him as just a person, cultural icon? Or do you think these are wrestling fans that are showing interest in these kind of offshoot things? And you could use the same thing for Sasha Banks, because, there's probably more Star Wars fans than are wrestling fans, if we're being honest. So do you think maybe they were huge fans of her in that, and so maybe they don't even know or follow her in wrestling? It's an interesting.
I think you're getting a lot of wrestling fans who want to go after the Rock stuff because they're fans of the Rock. They knew who he was before he made the movies. You're going to get people who are fans of the movie who want to collect that stuff, but I think the majority are going to be wrestling fans. The same goes for Sasha Banks. I think it's good for the WWE because now there's a name there in that large universe called Star Wars.
Yeah.
That now wrestling fans are going to go and buy stuff up and maybe brings eyeballs to the Star Wars product. I don't know.
It may make it easier too, since modern Star Wars and WWE both are put out by Topps. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier for them to kind of find what they need to find, as opposed to with The Rock, where, people are still finding stuff here, there, and everywhere that has The Rock on it, that, bootleg releases, stuff from other countries. There's all kinds of crazy stuff popping up.
Yeah, and they're easier to find too. And you have a company like Inkworks that put out both Scorpion King and Mummy Returns. They printed a lot of those cards, so it's not like. And I would say probably maybe on par. I guess maybe on par with wrestling cards. It's not a big company as far as, well, they're not even a company anymore. But I don't think they printed any more cases than they would that Topps does with WWE product. But I mean, there's a lot more variety of cards from those movies that feature or have The Rock's image on it.
So what are some other examples we haven't talked about that you can think of?
Well, Rock was also featured, don't forget, Doom.
That's my favorite one. I keep looking for that auto, and I'm not paying $10,000 for it. Although that might be a really good deal right now. 10 years later, we look back.
Correct. Other cards from other stuff. Recently, been seeing someone mention about that Hogan and Wendy Richter on that Cyndi Lauper cards.
Popped up out of nowhere.
Really. Popped out of nowhere. It's like totally forgot about that card.
Yeah.
You mentioned Sasha Banks.
Mm-hmm.
You can even go to like Stacy Keibler. She's on a Baltimore Ravens
cheerleader. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Somebody told me about their Sunny, Tammy Cinch being on one as well, but I think I found one of her on a homegrown type of bootleg card for some local baseball organization or something like that. That's right.
Two that I have: Brock Lesnar. I mean, you've got UFC,
totally.
You've got football, and you got wrestling, and that spans quite. It's you can kind of have the same fan in all those pools, or you can just have UFC fans that all of a sudden want to buy the wrestling cards because they're such a huge fan. Or you have like David Peck, who just loves him, so then he goes after everything Brock Lesnar.
Of course, yeah.
And this is kind of a lot. Everybody wants to talk about all their wins, and oh, I bought this card and I sold it and made this much. Here's one where I missed out on, had an opportunity, and that's the 1988 Georgia Bulldogs, Bill Goldberg.
Yep.
There was a PSA 9 I was watching forever, like a year and a half ago, and it was sitting there for $30. And it's, what I was doing with that $30 was buying like 95 Steve Austin cards. So it's not like I totally lost, but somebody bought this card and I saw it the other day and it was listed for like, several $1,000s, and it's the only one that keeps surfacing.
What about stuff like, Pillman's card goes for good money?
Yeah. If you can find it, like that's,
if you can find it,
that's the biggest problem with a lot of these, is just being able to find them.
And that was a Canadian football. Was it Jogo or something like that?
Yep. And then there's the, is it the USFL or something like that with John Layfield? Oh
yeah, that's right. Yep.
So there's more. I know there is.
There's more. You got Ernie Ladd was on cards.
Wahoo McDaniel, I think.
Wahoo McDaniel's on a card. Don't forget Steve Mongo McMichael.
Yeah.
God, who else do we have football wise? I mean, you said Goldberg and Rock, of course.
Well, then you can start being on the fringe of stuff, and you could be like looking at actors who made appearances in wrestling, or celebrities that have cards, like Shaquille O'Neal. That's a popular one right now.
Yep. He'd be one. I saw a poster at that Lawrence Taylor card from the Action Pack.
That thing's nuts right now. I don't understand.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I love it.
I love it too. Oddball stuff like Darren Drozdeff. He was on a couple cards.
That's a really good one. Mm-hmm.
He was on I think a 93 Stadium Club. And then also he was on Bowman.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there. My
biggest question, and we're almost like closing the show on this because I think it'll be a little bit longer of a topic, is like long term, will any of these things matter? I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. The Rock is obviously setting precedents. So, who's to say, and like you always say, trickle down effect. Right. So I can't afford The Rock, but I'm also a fan of Goldberg. Maybe I'll go after Goldberg stuff because it's a little more in my budget. Or maybe I want it, or just for fun. I'm a wrestling fan. I want to go after those, Raw Drozdev cards or something like that, or JBL cards, or, I mean, it could be fun. I don't know, monetary. I mean, I guess it can't hurt. I don't think it's going to go down any. Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to look at it. First off, you're a player collector. You got to have them. No matter what. Got to have them. Secondly, if you're just like, I don't even know how to categorize these people. The people who want to collect wrestling cards because they just love wrestling and they want all of it. They're not set collectors. They're not, investors. They just want all of these cards from all the wrestling that they enjoy. There's like no end to it. So there's those people. Then there's the people that I think that are like trying to be the first onto other markets. So, you know, what you just said, the Goldberg one. Well, now maybe they try, if Goldberg doesn't work out, maybe they move on to the Stacy Keebler. Maybe if that doesn't work out, they go to the Pillman. But they keep going like down in these tiers. And it gets to a point where I have to question, like, even Brian Pillman, his actual official wrestling rookie cards, like they don't garner very much attention.
No.
Like they're it's not even a monetary thing, it's attention. And I think that's where a lot of these people, unless they're just diehard fans, are going to get caught holding the bag, so to speak, on some of this stuff.
But I've also got, having just come back, I just went through someone's collection of cards this weekend and down in San Diego. I'm talking easily 1 million cards this person has of just various things. He's banking on that logic that, oh, it's Brian Pillman, because I remember going through and having to identify cards for him. That's what he basically brought me on board to do. And he's thinking that, oh, it's Brian Pillman. He's no longer with us. He's going to be worth some money because the market is so exploding. You know, I'm going to, instead of making a nickel off this card, I'm going to make 15, 20 bucks off this card. That's his logic. Hey, that's what he thinks. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's going to happen, but hey, you want to pay me to go ahead and identify cards for you? I'll be happy to do that for you.
And to kind of support, I think we're in agreements on this. Go back and look at some of look at superstar Billy Graham. I mean, he was one of like the more influential guys in pro wrestling. Look at Gorgeous George, look at the Sheik, all of their stuff. It's not as readily available, but you also don't see people clamoring for it.
No, and there's not much of it too. So the rarity of it is even more.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's an opportunity, but from a like wrestling fan perspective, if we're not seeing those guys like explode in popularity, why would we see, you know, Flying Brian? Unfortunately, I like him. I think his cards are great.
I think we actually have that slated for down the road here, talking about what drives value on cards and stuff.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So
we'll get into that.
Interesting topic. But like The Rock, I think you're in a no-lose situation with all of them.
Absolutely. Well, The Rock is a no-lose and will continue to keep going. You know, he's still relatively young. He's still doing a lot of great things. But then you're also going to be banking on your legends. I mean, you're not going to do wrong by having Hogan or Flair or Andre or Savage.
Yeah, one of the interesting crossover cards I like that's not even supposed to be a crossover card, I don't think, is in the, was it Market Scene? The Hogan with the Rip 'em shirt from the movie. Like, I've got to have that because that's from No Holds Barred. Yeah. And I remember it from the movie, even though he's a wrestler. Like, it's so good.
It's great stuff.
There are things like that, or The Rock, or you mentioned Ernie Ladd and Wahoo McDaniel. I think those are like solid to own for like long term, as far as like satisfying for collectors and investors.
But you're not going after Dennis Rodman WCW card.
Oh yeah, no, I am, because I'm a fan. But that's the thing. Like, I will go buy those, but I don't care if they go down in value because I just love Dennis Rodman. And that's what I'm saying. People who love like Flying Brian or whoever, like you have to go after them if you're a player collector or if you're a set collector or whatever. But I just think there's too many people looking at too much oddball stuff and getting too off the grid, not with the thought process, but the names that they're going after. Does that make sense?
It does, but also, don't you find it to be good for the hobby though too?
Oh, I absolutely but I would rather see.
I don't care if you're the biggest Alex Wright fan on the planet. It's like that. I'm going after Alex Wright stuff, Berlin stuff. I want it all.
I guess my attention is like, I would rather see people looking at modern stuff like that as opposed to the past. I think people are looking at older stuff just trying to cash in right now. They maybe weren't even a fan, but they remember, you know, Dino Bravo or Greg the Hammer Valentine. But I think I get more excited when I see more excitement for modern product than I do the old stuff.
So like the Sasha Banks Mandalorian one would be a good example.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah, I think that's like the ultimate appeal to the like wrestling, Star Wars, two of the most biggest fan bases in entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And like any kind of movie property, you know, if John Cena has other cards out that was from movies, or I don't even think really there's too many movie product cards out there anymore.
Movies traditionally over the years, as someone who was always into non-sport stuff too, typically movies don't translate well into trading cards, with the exception of a Star Wars. Even when Lord of the Rings came out, top to the license, they did all these autographs. I mean, you can get the director, Liv Tyler, you got Dominic Monaghan, you had, I mean, the entire cast, basically. You had everybody. And I bought cases of that stuff because I thought that's a strong autograph lineup to me. I thought it was great, but it didn't sell well out the gate until the autographs took off online on eBay and secondary markets. All of a sudden, everybody wanted to have it.
Right.
But typically, it's your TV shows that translate well into trading cards in the short term. I think movies translate in the long term. Short term, it's out of sight, out of mind. So, in that 90s, early 2000s, Buffy was the hottest thing.
Yeah.
Of course, had Buffy. Everything sold out of Buffy. Then Angel, all the Angel stuff sold out because it was related to Buffy. Xena was hot. Xena sold out. It was all good stuff. As soon as those shows were off the air, even though they're in syndication, nothing new, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that I know this isn't necessarily wrestling, but since we're talking about it, like I see a lot of people jumping into weird stuff too that's like exploded in popularity, like Harry Potter, Marvel, stuff like that. Like they're going into it because I think they legitimately love what it is.
Well, Harry Potter's a big franchise, and it was
Right.
pretty popular when it was coming out the gate with our box right away because of the prop cards they had. I mean, they had cards that were literally, there was a card that was literally almost 2 inches thick.
Unbelievable.
Because it contained an actual movie prop in it.
Gotcha.
And then you had the autograph lineup, and I mean, Artbox did a great job with that when they were doing that. So that has a huge franchise. It's a huge franchise. It's a huge following, but I don't think that's a new thing for Harry Potter.
No, but I'm just saying, like people who are into cards, it seems like I'm all about thinking outside the box. I encourage people to think outside the box, but I think there's people that latched onto wrestling cards and they're trying to like stretch it too thin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that actually makes much better sense, actually.
Instead of saying like, okay, well, I'm either outpriced or this is what I'm sticking with, but I'm bored. So I'm going to go buy Mortal Kombat cards. And speaking of that, I got a good crossover card for you. New Mortal Kombat movie coming out. Have the Miz play Johnny Cage. There you go.
There you go. Well, he's not even in the movie though. So
no, I'm just saying. Like,
there's no Johnny Cage in it.
Well, they should make one, get him a card, and I would actually be buying my first Miz card ever because I hate the guy.
Come on, man. You just hate his character?
Yeah, I can't stand his character.
Okay. I think he's a pretty solid guy. But I'm biased on that.
Like personally, yeah, I don't know him, so I can't. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are really cool guys personally, but
well, that means he's just
I'm
doing his
supposed
character
to hate him
well.
though. He's a heel.
Yeah, he's doing his job well.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to be the fan. I don't want to be the smart internet guy. Now, I do want to be the smart internet guy when it comes to cards, or at least I try to be. Play one on YouTube.
I play one. Yeah, that's how I'm scripted. So I think I agree with you. Stretching it too thin. So I think people are looking for wrestlers and non-wrestling type cards and trying to make those big.
Yeah.
But I think it's good for the hobby because as a whole, people buying cardboard, great. Buy more cardboard, man. That's awesome. But trying to turn it into something that really it shouldn't be or won't be, like it's not gonna be the next rock card, I don't think.
No, and you can't. Like, I guess I shouldn't criticize people for trying. I just think if you're going to try to play penny stocks, why should you not do that with modern autograph cards?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're just so cheap that
the upside there is so much greater than it would be taking some, promo card that they printed 5,000 of them,
100%. Yep. Yeah. See, we're on the same page on this,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. If you can find them, I think there's so much good stuff out there. A lot of it just comes down like that Doom autograph card. Like,
yeah.
I loved playing the video game. I didn't really care for the movie. Too. But again, that's taken my love for the video game and my love for wrestling, putting them together. I mean, that's the ultimate card for me to get, but I'm not paying, $10,000 or whatever that guy on eBay has it listed at.
Yeah, I'm interested in hearing anybody who listens to this. I'm interested in hearing what people, if they have any additional cards that we didn't talk about of wrestlers that appear in non-wrestling card sets. I'd like to know if we're missing anything.
Yeah, and speaking of that, especially if there's like some big one that we've missed or something that you think is undervalued featuring some legends, hit us up on social media. Let us know what you think. We're happy to have a discussion about it. Speaking of social media, we're going to close it out. Tony, let everybody know where they can find you.
WrestlingTradingCards.com.
You always have the easy place to find them, and I've got to have people chase me all over the place.
I saw you're using something called what were you using, called Linktree or something like that?
Linktree, yeah. It has you can check one link. It has links to everything I'm involved in.
That's awesome. I'm thinking about getting one of those.
It's pretty nice. Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. Search Zhan Morning all over social. and come buy something from my eBay store. Probably
I
some of
highly
these
recommend it.
All right, guys, until next time, thank you for listening. Make sure to share the show all over social platforms, subscribe, and let's get more people involved in wrestling cards. Until next time, see ya.